where the Democratic Alliance is electing its Gauteng provincial leadership at a congress in Boksburg today. The race for chairperson is between two contenders, Msimanga and Khume Ramulifho. Msimanga will be looking to retain his position against Ramulifho. Here's party leader John Steenhuisen getting ready to address almost 1,000 delegates attending the congress. Let's join in now.
Viva DA, viva!
Viva!
Pambili DA, Pambili!
Pambili!
Forward to 2024, forward!
Forward!
Democrats, Fredens, blue people.
Yebo.
Sanibonani, Dumalang. Namaste. Salam alaikum. Goeiedag. It's a great honor to be back here in Gauteng to speak to you today at this magnificent Congress. And what a beautiful venue and what beautiful people we have in Gauteng.
Yeah.
So congratulations to the DA here in this great province for putting together another magnificent Congress. Now, I was here a few weeks ago and we got to spend some time together at a terrific event in Soweto. And it was full and people were enthusiastic about the future. And then I got to go and spend some time with King Soul and the others out there in what's that terrible municipality next to Midval? Yeah, that's the one. And then I got to spend some time with the amazing Peter Texera to see the incredible work being done in Midval. And everywhere we went, every time people saw the Blue Army, they got excited. And they got excited because they know that it's always better where the DA is, and that they know life will always get better for them when the DA gets into power. But it's good to be here today at a Congress. Congresses are important. There are very few parties that can survive in the world that don't elect their own leaders. You can't have a situation where leaders are self-appointed and then get to just choose who they want around them. And that's why the Blue Party, the DA, its internal democracy is so strong. We give our people the ability to choose their leaders. And we don't have dictators who chase people away because they don't like them or they disagree with them. What we have in our party is a commitment to democracy and the rule of law. But I want to say to you, Gauteng, you have an enormous duty resting on your shoulders. Because this province is going to be the epicenter of the Moonshot Pact for next year's election. And because in 2024, the DA is going to be in government here in Gauteng. So I want to send a direct message out to Mr. Panyaza Lesufi today. I want to say to him, take a good look at this group of people. Because this group of people are going to be your leaders next year.
Yes!
And you're going to have a good look at these people while you're sitting on the opposition benches and while we're in government, changing lives, improving people's opportunities, getting this province moving forward again. Democrats, the end of the ANC in Gauteng cannot come a moment too soon. Looking back, this province was once the beating heart of the South African economy. This was once the industrial powerhouse of Africa. Following the arrival of democracy in 1994, Gauteng was the place where our people reached for the stars, where people came together from all backgrounds and all parts of the country to build a better future for their families. This is where business empires were built. This is where workers built cars and miners bought back treasures from deep within the bowels of the earth. Where our factories hummed day and night, and where our cities never slept. Where the heartbeats of millions of young students and young people made us optimistic about the future. Where the hustle and bustle was addictive, and where a better tomorrow beckoned for all who dared to reach for it. But that Gauteng, as we once knew it, is today on life support. The heartbeat of this economy has become very, very faint and very, very irregular. The bright lights of the cities have dimmed, as load shedding has now turned our once vibrant streets into no-go zones. Where the gold and the minerals that once financed and our great industrial economy, and today those same minerals fund the criminal zama-zamas who terrorize our communities. Where our great railways served as the arteries carrying opportunities to all corners of the province, roads now explode in the middle of Johannesburg. Potholes, the size of craters, claim lives every day. They say overseas they drive on the left, but in South Africa you drive on what's left. Our traffic lights are being sawn off in broad daylight. Our cables are being stolen in front of our very eyes. And in many areas, the only water people receive for weeks on end is in the form of sewage running down their streets. The city streets and the restaurants that once hustled and bustled sit abandoned, and there are for sale signs across streets in every single suburb. Where generations of South Africans once flocked to Gauteng, they are now running as quickly as possible away from Gauteng. More than anywhere else, what has happened here in this great province has come to symbolize the betrayal by the ANC of the potential of the people of our country. 30 years into our democracy, this province, Gauteng, should have been one of the great city regions of the world. Gauteng was once home to the South African dream, but under the ANC, it has become the South African nightmare. And believe you me, if you think things are bad, I can tell you, Democrats, they can get a lot worse. And make no mistake about it, the ANC knows that their days are numbered. That's why, as Ivan said, they convened a whole dialogue in Cape Town on coalitions. A governing party admitting that they know that the days of their majority are over. But, Democrats, a wounded buffalo is the most dangerous animal in the bush. And we've already seen how the ANC intends to cling to power here in Gauteng. They've already shown us the plan for 2024 by forming doomsday coalitions with the EFF and the Patriotic Alliance in some of the municipalities in this province. Panyaza Lesufi is on record for saying he wants to bring this same doomsday coalition to the provincial government next year, where the ANC and the EFF will seek to work with the treacherous in the parties like the PA. Make no mistake, a vote for the ANC in Gauteng in 2024 will be a vote for the EFF. And equally, a vote for parties like the PA, Al-Jamar, Good and Cope will be a vote for the treacherous who have taken those votes and sold their people out to the ANC. The ANC is prepared to do this knowing full well what Julius Malema and the EFF are capable of. The violence, the division, just as they reminded us at their rally just 2 weeks ago. And for those of you who are waiting for me to suddenly start lifting off the ground, I'm afraid you're going to be very disappointed. Because we're a party that's not above the people, we're on the ground with the people. We've got to do everything we can in our power, Democrats, to rescue this province and our country from the Doomsday Coalition. And this is where the Moonshot Pact comes into the picture. While the Doomsday Coalition represents a clear and present danger to the people of South Africa, the 2024 election will be the best opportunity that the DA has of winning real power in Gauteng. Now, you will recall at our Federal Congress just up the road in April, I announced that immediately following the election that I was going to set about trying to bring the opposition together, to end the infighting, so that we could work together with like-minded parties to defeat the ANC and keep the EFF out of power. And once again, those naysayers in the media who've always got a lot to say, have always got to point out where people stumble and to be negative about what we're doing, said it's never going to happen. Some of them said it was moonshine, not moonshot. Some of them said we'd never get it right. Well, I'm happy to report that next week, right here in Gauteng, the first national convention of the Moonshot Pact will be taking place at Emperor's Palace. And it will be at Emperor's Palace, and before people say you're taking a gamble on the future of South Africa, that's where the CODESA negotiations were held. And just as they bought a new blueprint for the future of South Africa, we're going to make sure that the Moonshot Pact coalition brings out a new and better future for the people of South Africa. And we hope to emerge from there with an agreement that the group of parties represented in the pact will focus on providing not just a way to get the ANC out of power, but providing an alternative to the ANC, bringing the very best of the opposition benches around the table, leaving beside the egos and the scars of battles past, and focusing on what we can do together to rescue Gauteng, rescue the country, and make sure we can start to build a better, brighter, more prosperous future for the people of South Africa. But here's the good news for you here in Gauteng. And I'm very glad Helen's left, because she said she doesn't like sharing some of the polling. But I can share with you today that we are polling as the Moonshot Pact parties as high as 48% in Gauteng already. That's just 2% short of a majority. And we haven't even started the election campaign yet. What a great way to start, Democrats. If I haven't seen a launch pad like that in many, many years. And I'm absolutely convinced that if we all go out and we do what needs to be done, and we convince more people to vote for our party, we will get well over the 50% next year to form a new government and to liberate this province from the clutches of the ANC and usher in a new government. And so I say to the other parties that have not yet joined the pact and who have so far chosen not to attend next week, some exciting news you'll hopefully read in the newspapers tomorrow about some new people who've joined and will be sitting around the table with us. But I say to those parties that have so far said that they want to remain aloof from the pact, the door is still open. Our hands are open and generous. Come and join us around the table so that together we can use the best chance South Africa's had in over 30 years to strike bravely forth in a new direction. Don't waste this opportunity through pettiness, through silliness, through irrelevant arguments about the New World Order and things like that. We don't have the luxury of time. We need you around the table. Your voters need you around that table. So join hands and together let's march determinedly forward into that next election. But make no mistake, a big and growing DA is going to be central to make the Moonshot Pact succeed. In 2019, the DA got 27% in Gauteng. We can, and Democrats, we must grow beyond that. And why do I say that? I say that because in the last election, this is a frustrating thing as well. You know, you get this all the time. But you know, you guys don't have a majority. Well, of course we don't have a majority yet. If we had a majority, we'd be in government. We wouldn't be in the opposition, would we? But we have a pathway to victory. And that pathway to victory leads right through the 14 million South Africans who are registered to vote but have sat out the last two elections. Your country needs you now more than ever before, and our job is to go and get those people excited about the future and to make them know that for the first time in many years, your vote matters. And then there's a 13 million, mainly young people, who are not even registered to vote. Just think about that. That's 27 million people that are available for us to convince that we can turn things around, that life can get better, that load shedding, poverty and unemployment are not a natural state for a country to be in, and that tomorrow can be better than yesterday, and that your children can have a better future than the life that you have lived. If we can just get 10% of that 27 million, just 10% of it, just 10% of that 27 million, we will sweep the ANC out of power forever. And that's why, if you're watching at home or you're in the hall today, I give you permission to forget everything I've said today, except this. We need everyone in this room to go out today and make sure that we register as many people as possible ahead of this next election. Get your families, get your friends, get your girlfriends, get your boyfriends, get your neighbors, get whoever you can. And I promise you, the process is so simple. You don't need to stand in long queues. You can go to a website that we've set up to precisely make it as easy as possible. And that website is check.da.org.za. Come on, I want to hear you all say it together. Check.da.org.za. There will only be power to the registered in this next election. If you're not registered to vote, then you're part of the problem. If you're not registered to vote, we cannot save our beautiful country from the terrible path the ANC have put us on. The people in Gauteng know exactly how unstable coalitions can become when there are far too many fragmentations and small parties. And the only way to bring an end to that is to ensure that people vote for a party with a track record of getting things done. For coalitions to succeed, we need strong anchors like the DA that have experience in government, that can anchor a strong, stable coalition. And the voters need to ask themselves today, which party has that experience? Which party has that depth? Which party has that track record of good governance to anchor a coalition in Gauteng next year? The answer to that, Democrats, is the DA. It's the DA. And it was on full display again this week. Just look at our incredible mayors, Celias Brink and Jordan Hill-Lewis, have stood up for the rule of law in South Africa. Just next door from here in Tshwane, Celias Brink is leading with courage, with vigor, and determination to save our capital city from financial ruin. Instead of giving in to illegal strikes and thuggery, Mayor Brink is firing officials engaged in violence. In Cape Town, Jordan Hill-Lewis is showing South Africa that only the DA has the courage to stand up against thugs and criminals who are trying to hold our country to ransom. So while the Bheki Cele and Cindy Chikunga are terrified of implementing their own rules and wanting to find ways to amend the rules so that they can protect themselves and to exempt people from the very rules that you and I and everybody else are subject to, our Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis refused to bow down to those thugs. And let me repeat what he said to Bheki Cele to his face. He said, "You may negotiate with criminals, but the DA won't." And it's a simple fact that only the DA is able to run these wonderful governments. And wasn't the binary so perfectly set out this week? The clear blue water between the ANC and the DA. The clear blue water between real leadership and cowardice and spinelessness. And that was with the situation with Jacob Zuma. So while our mayors were out on the front lines defending the rule of law, our president was running away from it. And in a cynical move, has abused his power to once again put the ANC before the people of the country. But he's told us before so many times, and I don't know why it wasn't taken on face value, when he said, "I would rather be a weak president than break up the ANC." And he showed that again this week. He would rather break the rule of law, he would rather subvert justice to be able to defend his party and cadres in his party than to stand up for the Constitution and the people of South Africa. But the worst thing is that they weaseled out of their obligations in terms of the rule of law by inventing some new rescission program for which Mr. J.G. Zuma was the first recipient. And in order to sneak him out of jail, they had to put 10,000 other incarcerated criminals around him. South Africa's recidivism rate is around 70%. That means that out of those 10,000 people that were released as a cover for Jacob Zuma to slip out of jail, 7,000 of those will repeat offend, and who will their victims be? It'll be the people of South Africa, who once again, thanks to this government, have violent criminals stalking the streets and stalking their communities. Spineless. Spineless. And there's little wonder you've got to put piles and piles of dollars under your mattress. Because if you don't have a spine, something's got to keep you up at night and to keep you straight on that bed. But if ever there was a reason for ordinary South Africans, for the silent majority to rise up against the lawlessness and the abuse of power and the corruption, it was this week. If you want a party that gets things done, if you want a party that will uphold the law and protect you and your families from lawlessness, if you want a government that's serious about lifting people out of poverty and into opportunity, if you want a party that's serious about getting our young people into work in this country, well, you've got to register and you've got to vote for that. Change doesn't happen by osmosis. Change is an act of the will. And let me tell you, to those South Africans that are sitting at home, and I was in the Free State this week, angry and frustrated with sewage running down their streets, who are sick and tired of seeing municipality collapse after collapse. You can burn tires, you can block roads, you can stand with placards outside municipal offices. This government's got a tin ear. They don't care. And if we're going to make them listen, we've got to speak in the only language that they know, and that's the language of the election. And to use our vote, which is more powerful than a tire, more powerful than a stone, and more powerful than a placard. And we've got to put those votes into the box, because that's how change is going to happen. And so to South Africa, I remind you of the lyrics of the famous song by Ben E. King. And don't worry, I'm not going to sing it. When the night has come, and the land is dark, and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. Well, Democrats, it's 2023 and our land is dark. But the one beacon of light is the DA and the DA's moonshot. So stand with the DA, and I promise you, you'll get a government that will get up every day and stand by you. We can do it, Democrats. We can restore this province. We can lift our people up into prosperity. Yeah. We can bring change, but we can only do it if people vote, and if we, as the Democratic Alliance, go out and get those people to the polls so that they can vote for change, and we can sweep the ANC out, and we can bring in a new government that's going to work for the people and not the politicians. Forward, DA, forward! Viva, DA, viva! Bambili, DA, bambili!